Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, MaryAnn, so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Really happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so today, as usual, but different because it's always different per person, we're going to start with a game. This game has you in mind. It is called Workplace Wisdom. So,
Okay.
in your experience, I want you to say true or false for these. So not necessarily like across the board true or false, but something that you personally dealt with your own team. True or false, if that makes sense. So no one get mad at MaryAnn for her opinions. This is hers. Okay. I'm going to give you a bunch of scenarios and you're going to let me know what you think. Okay. Okay. First one is team members stay longer if you have fun perks that aren't normally expected. For example, gym memberships, lunches, etc.
I'm going to say false because if you have to lure them in, then they're not great team members in the first place. You shouldn't have to bribe them.
It's always fun when you end up having that, but maybe like don't put it on the job description.
Right.
Yeah, because it's like that just might be the reason why they're joining. It's like,
exactly.
I don't membership. Okay, I don't want to pay my gym membership anymore. I like that. Okay, next one. Employees are more loyal when they feel like they can bring their whole selves to work.
True. Very true. And we're a big believer in that. We have a lot of, so, obviously I'm on the call today. And so I have to, look the part and I'm on an island and I have a lot of island hair going on. So earlier today I had calls with my team and I had my hair like all up in like pins and stuff. And I, so that's full transparency. And I was joking with one of the team members. I was like, she goes, oh, well, half the time my kids are hanging off of me or somebody's cat is walking across the screen. Like, you just have to be you. And if we weren't that before in COVID, we learned that because people who had never worked from home before had that experience. And it's like your dog's there and he's barking at the mailman who you're lucky is delivering a package. So we never complain.
Yeah, it's like people are human. I think that you have to have that expectation. And if you don't, or you're expecting them to like hide that part of them, there's obviously a level of professionalism that you have to have on certain calls, but with your team who knows you and everything, I think that, there can be more casual. You can be more casual about it.
See, we've had both, right? Because I've been doing this a really long time. So when I first started my agency, if I was working virtually, we were very, very early in the virtual stage. It was like the early aughts. And a lot of potential clients didn't want to take us seriously because we didn't have an office space. And so I would have to hide the fact. Like I literally had a whole, I don't want to say a set, like I had my office staged behind me.
I love that.
So that when I got on a Skype call with people, because we still used Skype back then, they were like, oh, this is your office. Yes. Oh, where is it? And I didn't tell them that it was in my house. So we did it that way. And when COVID came and everybody else caught up to where we were as a company, it was like such a relief. I was like, oh, thank God, now when my dog barks, I don't have to say I brought my dog to work for the day.
No, that's incredible. And like, honestly, if the reason that someone thinks you're like less professional is because you're like, that's the deal breaker for them. Yeah. But otherwise, like if they're fooled into thinking that you aren't in an, like if you are in an office and they're going with you anyway, it's like, okay, this is like prejudice. Is like basically.
Right. And like, honestly, it's more overhead, right? So like for my clients, I'm like, I'm reducing overhead by not paying rent for an office that no one's going to sit in except for me.
Exactly.
Because half my team is spread across the country. That's how we work now. So, I'm going to have an office so that my developer in Tennessee cannot visit it.
No, exactly. We even had a similar scenarios. We're like international and we like rented out a space just for our HQ team. And it was kind of just pointless because it was like we were barely together even when we were in different parts of it, like doing different calls and stuff like that. We're like, we can just meet every, beginning and end of the week or whenever we need.
And it's more fun. Yeah. It's more fun to go someplace that's not the office, right? Like, you just go and I've met up with team members that's in New Jersey, and we met up at a cool coffee shop, like, right across so we could see the skyline of New York City and Hoboken. And I have another colleague who we've worked together for years. She's in New Hampshire. We used to meet up on soccer fields because both our kids played soccer. So like, honestly, I think it's you build a better connection when you don't have to be forced into that space when it's a space of your choosing. So
No, I completely agree. I really love the choice of being able, we talked about the pros and cons before this, but the choice of being able to work wherever you want is really a cool luxury to have, because it's like, yes, maybe it sucks a little bit that you have to work in a place where you really want to just relax and have like a nice vacation, but it's also really lovely to be able to like kind of change your scenery when you're working or chatting with someone. It's really lovely.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, I'm giving you one more scenario because we really got into the game. We had a great conversation about it though. Okay, clients notice and appreciate when your internal culture is strong.
True. I think so, because there's not a specific thing that's going to happen, right? There's not, but there's a synergy that happens when your culture is strong. And so like I have, it's a women-owned business and women-led teams. So while we do have like a couple of token males that help us out from time to time, the core group is female. And one of them is like, he's a work from home dad. So like he gets us at a different level because he's, sometimes he's the one home with the sick kid, and we're like, we get it. We've all been there. But there's a synergy that happens, and so the handoff from person to person is much more seamless. The collaboration is better, and for the clients on the outside, they don't want to notice anything, right? They just want that consistency. And so if you have a good culture that is really, pervasive throughout your company, I think that clients can, they don't notice it when it's there, but they definitely notice it when it's not.
Yes, no, I 100% agree. I think that there's I think you can really tell when a team has like mutual admiration for each other, because it's this respect in which, even if you're in a period of time where you're really hustling as a team, that you're never going to not do your job or do an incomplete job or do a lackluster job, because you know that it will fall on someone else that you care about.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big part of it.
That's huge, right? And we have sort of like, we all have our swim lanes of things that, where our expertise is and where we tend to lean in more, but we also overlap each other, so that if someone's out sick or someone's on vacation, someone else can pick up the ball and keep it rolling. And when you do that, and when you work very closely with those other people that are aligned with you, you definitely don't want to disappoint them, and you want to appreciate them for what they're doing to make your job easier too. So
yeah, exactly. It's much easier when it really is at a detriment to any business or company when you have one person that can only do that thing, because if you can't pick up the slack when they're not there, or like an emergency even happens, like what are you going to do? Like things will fall apart because of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been doing this a really long time, so I have had that scenario. I have seen it, and that's why we learned swim lanes with overlap.
No, exactly. Like, and I think you're more willing when you like have that mutual respect and admiration for each other. You're more willing to learn things that are like outside of your normal wheelhouse, because it's something that, if you have that mutual respect, like you are able to have those conversations in a way that doesn't make you intimidated or like insecure about what you don't know.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's very naive to think that in an industry like ours, where technology is changing by the minute, where AI is driving change to happen constantly, that anybody knows everything. Do you know, like you can be the CEO of any major tech company out there today. You still know, the CEOs know they don't know everything, right? And they're like, I have people that know things, and I grab the person I need for the thing I don't. That's part of being a leader, right? Like you can't know everything. You're never going to be completely ahead. Everything is constantly changing. That's the pain and the joy of doing what we do. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of what you do, so I have had a very lovely time being able to talk to so many people that are founders of agencies, different things like that. But you are a special case in which your agency has been around for quite a long time. I would love to kind of learn, what do you think like is the secret to that? Like, I know there's probably so much But like, what would you say if someone you had to pick one thing that you think is like the most important part for longevity?
I would say it's first of all knowing who you are, right? So knowing what I wanted to make out of my company, out of my team, so that when I chose the people that would work with me, that they would be synergistic with those goals and with that culture, and then choosing the clients that appreciate that. So I mean, I'm lucky to be at a stage now where I don't accept every lead that comes in. Sometimes I meet with someone and they're like, "Hey, great, send me a proposal." And I'm like, I don't think we're quite a culture fit. And so I can afford to say no. In the early days, you say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I think eventually ruins a lot of agencies, is that you're so afraid to not have the cash flow, to not have the business, that you say yes to everything. And you either end up doing projects that you don't like, or working for clients that you don't like, or working for clients that drive your good team members away. And so it's really, but if you know who you are and you understand your culture and hire to that culture, and then bring in work that matches with that. And not that like we're a woman-owned business and women-led agency, but not that every business that we work with is woman-owned or women-led. Like, absolutely not. Like, we work with plenty of, in fact, there are some clients that we work with who are male-based companies that are like, we need a woman's perspective. We don't have any women here, because it's like, the owner and like his brothers or something like that, right? So we really could use like some female perspective on this, because we know we don't have it. But the
I love that.
idea, yeah, and also I've had women clients that have come to us who have said, I'm a woman in business and I know how much I've struggled in business, and so I really want to work with people who understand my struggle and who I feel like we can help each other, right?
Yeah.
So, which is great to hear. So, but really and truly, it's finding the right match. And I think that if you can find the right match of both team members and clients, that's the secret sauce, right? And the rest of it kind of just happens, because now you've got the right mix of what you want to do with the people that you want to do it with, for people who appreciate who you are and what you do.
No,
And
I
that's
really, I know, I really believe with that. I really believe in that. And I also think, well, a question that I have about maybe earlier on in the process, something that I see as like a lot of people who have founded an agency kind of deal with in the beginning when hiring a team is like figuring out what they don't want to do or aren't good at, and finding someone to fill those gaps in their team.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Like how was it finding out what those things were?
Sure. Well, okay. So first, I'm super old in this industry, right? Like in terms of, people who started digital agencies. I started my agency in the early aughts. Like, there were no digital, like, it wasn't digital, there was print and there was digital and there were events. And like, and I had grown up doing events and then print and then digital. So like, I had done all of it. So when we first started, we would run events for clients, we would do print work, we did everything. And, slowly then we sort of evolved into like, I know my strength is digital. There's sort of like two things you have to face. There's, first of all, hiring for what you're good at, or hiring for what you're not good at, right? And my goal is always, I want to hire somebody who's better at the job I need filled than I am. So like my email designer, she's a way better designer than I am. Her emails are way prettier than anything I could make. She's just great at it. My project managers are way better at project management. I'm like a big picture person. They're detailed women. So they like hone in on the details and make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So just making sure that you have somebody who can fill the gaps is really important. Don't look at yourself as being insufficient. Look at yourself as like, here's a gap and somebody else is going to be better at that, and that's what I should hire for. But also, and I think if I could rewind, 25 years and like start over again, be ready to say no to the things that just don't make you money, no matter how much you love doing them. Because a lot of times we have a passion for something, like maybe you really love running events, but if you can't do it efficiently and make money at it, you shouldn't be doing it, because it's just distracting you from the things that are going to help your agency grow and help you get to the point of being able to say no to the clients you don't want to work with.
Yeah, I think it's like that. Those passion projects are unfortunately sometimes like something you have to save for later in life when you have like the budget to, I don't want to say waste, because I think that being
No.
excited and loving what you do is not a waste, but I think that you have to have the budget to spend in which like you're not critically losing money on the thing that you
Right.
to do.
Especially in the early years. The early years are so hard. Like, when you first start your agency, when you're first start, like my first it was just me. I was the agency, and I would bring in, like a person here or there. And then over time, I just kind of expanded and added like a web developer over here and a writer over there and so on and so forth, right? But in those early years, there's a lot that you have to suss out about what you can do well, what you can do profitably, what takes the most time, what you really enjoy. But you need to align those things, right? You need to align as an agency the things that you're good at with the things that make you money. Unless you can just live in poverty, and that's okay. I mean, that's fine. But for most of us, right? Like we really need to make sure that we can pay our bills and keep the lights on, and pay our subcontractors and our employees and ourselves, right? And so you do have to really think about like, can I do this profitably?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do this profitably and I like doing it and I have the staff or the talent, then yes, that's something to pursue, and pursue projects that are like that.
Yeah, it needs to be something that you need to be somewhat realistic about, especially when you have a team. Like if it is yourself, then okay, like you're you know what you have to like you know what you need to survive, and you know what risks you can take in order to continue to survive. But when people are relying on you for also their livelihoods, it's a little more complicated when you're doing passion projects.
Yeah.
So it's something.
But passion projects are great, and when you do reach the point where you can work on them, it's great. I mean, during the pandemic, we definitely had some gaps in our schedule, and so I tried to take on some volunteer work for some local nonprofits and things like that, and that was great. Like I really enjoyed doing that. I had the time to do it. It's not like there was other business coming in anyway. So it's very rewarding to do that, and I like to do it. And now that we have sort of reached a certain scale, it's a lot easier for us. So our flexibility tends to be when we work with a lot of our nonprofit clients, because we know that they have limited budgets and we know that they have limited staff, that we'll take the opportunity and say, okay, this is what you're budgeted for. We're going to throw in these extras because we know that you guys need them and it's going to make a big difference for you, and we want to try to help. And so, we can that way extend a little grace to the people who really need it, who are trying to do good in the world.
No, I love nonprofits. We have actually our nonprofit podcast as well that we do in tandem with this one, and it is it is just incredible, and it is so sucky that the expectation for such little funding in which they has to always go to the cause, which is good, but it's also like, how are we going to get more money for the cause if we don't have things that go to marketing or design? And so it is really
I'm
lovely.
Continuously impressed when I work with the marketers at nonprofits at how much they can eke out of a dollar, and how much work they do. It's awesome. I'm like so in awe of them. And that's why, for us, a bit of the passion is trying to give back to them. Like, listen, we all do the same thing, but you do something that helps people that are less fortunate, or a cause that needs help, or our planet or animals or whatever. And so, for us to like try to give a little back, we try to do that whenever we can.
Yeah,
but also I have the grace of having done this for 25 years. So like we have a little wiggle room that you don't have as a new agency.
Exactly. I'm understanding of new agencies not being able to necessarily give back in that way. They need to make money first, and that is okay. We all need to do that at some point. So it completely makes sense. Well, like speaking of nonprofit clients, if you work with a wide range of industries, like how do you make sure that you are ensuring quality for each of these specific places? Because a lot of people, they niche down, or they have like a very specific place in which they work, and that's how they think it, because they know they're experts on whatever that may be. How do you manage that?
Yeah, so like I have friends who are like, we do fintech and this is all that we do, or we do restaurants and this is all that we do. And I always think I would be so bored if I had to do the same thing all the time. Yeah, I can't do it. But we've really sort of focused in 3 areas where we have a lot of experience and expertise. And so nonprofit would be one of them. Because of sort of our generosity with nonprofits, we are limited to how many we can take. But we do try to, we have an expertise in that area. So that's one space. B2B is another, and B2B, like more specifically, like small to mid-sized business. We're not working with like, giant, Microsoft type companies, right? We're working with like smaller to mid-sized businesses. And then education, we work with education groups. So we do sort of have that level of focus. With most of the clients we work with, they either understand their business and their clients so well themselves that it's really more of my getting inside their heads and into their clients' heads, which gives us that edge that we need to maintain quality. Or if they're a brand new business, which does happen, so we'll have someone who maybe is starting a new business, they've left a bigger company or they've sold their company and they're starting a new business. They still will have some industry knowledge. We don't tend to work with brand new newbies. But they will understand that market really well. So we really lean on the expertise of the owner of the business. We don't work in a silo. We are working hand in hand with the owner, the C-suite, the director of marketing, someone who is, the most informed person on what's supposed to be happening so that we can get the information we need to do our jobs really well. The work that we're doing, we do mostly email, but we also do brand and content development as well. So when we're doing that work, like it's really about knowing your audience. And so even if you had a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant in the middle of Chicago is different than an Italian restaurant in the middle of New Jersey, right? So you still have to know your audience. Yeah, it's still a restaurant, but they're different. And knowing your brand and your voice and your tone and what your audience wants, like that, you have to learn that every single time. So as long as we sort of stay within like our wheelhouse of what we do well, we feel as though we, and our clients have told us they're really happy with our work and we get good results for them because, we get to know them and we get to know their clients in such a way that we can provide what's needed to help evolve the brand and get the message out.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of importance going into speaking with a client on their level because I think that there's this, I understand the outlook of, yes, you are an agency, they're coming to you for help, and that is why they're coming to you. But at the same time, it's very unlikely that you know an industry better than the people that are coming to you from that industry.
I mean, if I do, there's a problem with their business model, right?
Yeah, maybe different industry.
I always say like it's my job to know marketing. It's my job to know email and SMS and content and branding, right? And I need to know industry trends and I have to understand the application of AI and I have to understand those things, right? You need to understand your customer and your business and your product or service. I can't be more of an expert on that than you when you own that business or you run that division. Even when we're working in education, obviously I'm working with like a director of communications or somebody like that, right? So they don't own the college, but they certainly own the messaging for that school and they own the brand and they own the voice and they're the ones who are dictating what the impression of that school is going to be out in the world. I shouldn't know that better than them, no matter what I know. That's their job.
Yeah, that should be something they're like relatively familiar with.
You think? Yeah.
Is there ever a scenario in which you had like a potential client come to you and like something that you noticed was maybe like their ICP is not what you think it is? Like I think that does happen often actually, where people are so misguided by their vision for their company that they like don't really notice that an interest group could actually be better than what they're kind of asking to market to.
Yeah. So when we work with clients, we're big on having sort of a partnership, right? Like we are going to sit down and in the first month that we work with somebody, we talk to them every week or every other week as we start to develop their strategy and their plans. And there are times where we say, listen, we know you really wanted us to focus on pitching this, but as we're interviewing your clients and talking to prospects and doing our homework on the industry, this side of your business is really what's attractive to people. Or I know you think, I know you really like to sell XYZ because it's super profitable, but we need to go for more low-hanging fruit and bring people in with this lower priced thing because that's what, So there's times where, and what I say is like, it's really hard to look in the mirror. Like even for me, for my business, I have friends that are agency owners and I'll be like, what do you see? And they will see things that I can't see. It's my job for my client to see what they can't and understand what they like and what they want to do, but also tell them what are realistic goals. Like, you can come to me and say, I want you to send me 100 leads a week, and I don't care what it costs. I'll be like, yeah, that's probably a bad idea, because those leads I'm going to get you are going to be very low quality. I can get you 100 leads. They're going to be terrible.
Yeah.
So it's my job to sort of see what they can't see, help them understand the things that they don't know, because their expertise is their business and their industry, and my expertise is marketing, and help them build a path. So when I'm talking to them, I try my best to give a realistic picture of, here's some goals we should set. I know these are your goals. Here's the goals I think we should set, because these are measurable and achievable and will help you get to the next step that you're trying to get to.
Yeah, I think there is this level of education that you kind of have to have with clients, like on both ends. It's like, yes, I need to be a little more educated on your industry, like what I'm looking for, so that I can do my research properly. But you also might need some education on how marketing works. Some people just have these expectations that they grossly misunderstood what's the important part of it.
So on that note, I was talking to somebody literally yesterday, and great guy, great business, and his entire database is all existing or past customers. And I was like, okay, so what are you doing for the leads that come in? And he was like, well, that's what you're going to help with. I was like, okay, let's explain how leads work. Let's talk about nurturing. Let's talk about where the leads are coming from and how we're going to communicate. Like I can't just magically make your leads appear, you know, but but he doesn't understand how it works. This isn't what he does. And he was like, so explain to me how this works. And I was like, okay, this is how this works, and this is how you grow. And I've worked with businesses like yours in the past, and I've seen them grow, and this is how we help them grow. And these are the things you need to do. He was like, oh, I didn't know that. I've been doing this for years, and I didn't know that. And I said, and that's why your database has less than 1,000 names in it.
It's like, okay, well, we need to put a little more effort or intentional, strategy behind finding these leads and maintaining them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really funny to have that disparity between, what you don't know what you don't know kind of thing.
Right.
And especially there's so many businesses that just run on recommendations, and and sometimes they're just getting by with that, and they don't realize that it could be better than that scenario.
And in some ways, AI is the best and worst thing to happen to a small business, because it's great because it will save you time with a lot of things, but also don't just read the AI summary in the Google search results and think that is your marketing plan, because it's not. And if it is, you're in trouble. You're going to waste a lot of money. But you don't know what you don't know. So
you don't know what you don't know. And AI it really does complicate visions for businesses as well, because a lot of people are the new shiny object syndrome kind of thing.
Right.
This new service can help me with this, but it's like, do you really need help with that?
Yeah.
Is that the thing that you need help with? Maybe you should use this for something that takes up a lot of your time. But
here's what I tell clients. I'm like, you're paying me to do this. You can, if you want to pay me to play with AI all month for you, I can do that, but it's not going to make you money. Or I can use these proven tactics that we've already discussed, and we can do these things for you that we know will bring leads into the funnel and help to make you money and help to grow your brand and your reach. So which do you want? Play with AI or do real things? You can pay me either way. I'm getting paid. It doesn't matter.
Then that's where the education comes in a little bit of this is the reality of what will happen with this. This is not a proven effective measure yet. Maybe it might become something better in the future, but it's still in the works. There's so many AI tools that are just new.
And there's some that are great, right? I think generative AI is terrible, right? It can't make pictures with of a person with less than 6 fingers. I mean, it's but predictive AI is fantastic, right? Because predictive AI is exactly what we're trying to use when we want to mine your database and say who are the best people that we can target with product XYZ or service offering 1, 2, 3, or whatever it is, right? Predictive AI can do such a great job of helping us more efficiently and effectively mine data that exists to create better results. So to me, like that's where, but small businesses don't necessarily understand that difference. And so we have to explain that to them as agencies and help them understand, yes, AI has a purpose. There's certain kinds of AI you should use. And there's certain kinds that like, let's just leave it to the professionals. Okay. Let's let Adobe play with generative AI and make some really good stuff with it. And we'll go to Adobe when we need something. Right.
Yes,
And let's
exactly.
us focus on using this to really push your business forward with data that is tedious to mine.
Yeah, that's a big thing I even see with like agencies too sometimes, is that they're really excited about new tools, but it's like taking them too much time to learn certain ones where it almost defeats the purpose of what they thought it would help with. And like, or using too many tools in which your team is like really overloaded. They're like, we had like, if it's broken, don't fix it. Like, we had a great structure before, why are we using this? And taking up time, like.
But that's like the quicksand of the agency owner, right? Because like none of us do this if we hate technology. Most of us are doing this because we enjoy technology. We like using it. And so the new shiny thing comes up and we're like, ooh, this will make us faster, right? Yeah. And yeah, maybe it will, but in the meantime, right, you've got to learn this tool. You've got to migrate data over. You got to play around with it to figure out how to make it work. Like, I mean, I've probably been using the same project management software for like 8 years. I don't love it. It's acceptable, but I also know the cost to change. And so I kind of look at it and go, all right, when am I ready to basically lose a few $1,000s so that we can move to a new tool? There will be a time that I'll say that it's worth it, but I have to also look at like the time factor loss, the learning curve of everyone to try to use that system, the gap we're going to have with, clients being half in one system and half in the other. So, like, I like the new shiny things, but I'm also, 25 years in, well aware of what the cost of the new shiny thing. And if, I only do it when it's really worth it. There's some things that are totally worth it and I'm happy to adopt them. But I mean, technology switch is not something agencies should take lightly ever, because it's basically going to cost you money. It might look like it's going to save you money. You go, oh, I'm going to save $2 a seat on this. Okay. $2 a seat, unless you have 10,000 employees, it's not really going to save you that much money.
And even 10,000 employees managing all of their status on like learning a tool, that sounds worse than having a small agency in which you talk to everyone.
I think it's easy to add a tool, right? Like when Slack came out, it was like easier to add Slack because we didn't have anything like it that we were using. So when we added Slack, it was like, oh, this makes sense. Cool. But switching from like your CRM or switching your project management or switching your email provider, like those are huge changes, and they are so tedious, time consuming, and it's cost inefficient. So you're not going to save any money. Like you do it because the technology doesn't work anymore and doesn't do what you need it to do, because then you'll, recoup on the other end.
I know people that use Sheets to still do CRM, like because
that's a little tough.
because there's no, like, it's just something that they're efficient with somehow, and that's what they're using. I mean, like, if they're that's how it works. That's how it works. But yeah, there's certain Stone Age things in which people might, want to get out of. But there's things that, I mean, like, if your clients are happy and you don't have a headache every day going into work trying to organize what you're doing, then why change it? If only like you're being left behind and that's why.
Yeah.
And even then, sometimes I think that's just fear, and not really like an actual reason to change to something.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be big on being on the cutting edge and using all the cutting edge tools or bleeding edge tools. Like I was like, oh, I got to be right there. And now I've kind of learned that, like, you know what? I can be kind of in the middle of the pack. Right. I'll let other people experiment with things, especially if it's like an existing tool that I'm replacing. Like I'll let other people experiment, and then I'll watch the reviews and see what happens and let the pitfalls happen and then let them get fixed and then adopt it. I don't mind being more cutting edge with a new tool, because it's something I will say a couple years ago, it feels like a couple years ago, Fathom, which is a recorder for Zoom, right? Yeah. And it was one of the first ones that came out that did like the AI summary, and it would email everybody that was in the meeting and it would give you the full transcript. Like I was using Zoom, and I was sometimes recording the meetings, but I was not using any kind of AI tool to help with that. So I was like, Well, it's the worst it's going to do is just record my meetings in a different space, right? Once we started using it and we had like, first of all, just emailing the client after a call so I didn't have to send them manual notes that said, this is what we talked about and this is what we're doing. Huge time saver, right?
Mhm.
But then all of the added functionality of like having the summary and the search there so that like my team, my project manager or the creative team or whoever has to get in there could go to the meeting notes for that call, click on a link and get that, like 3-minute clip that they need to do their job. We didn't have anything like that. So I'm
Yeah.
like, so for me, that was a no-brainer because it didn't cost me anything to change. It was just like either it'll work or it won't work. And if it doesn't work, I'll just stop using it. But it works and it's been a game changer. So I do recommend, especially smaller agencies, pay for like the AI recording of the calls and getting the transcript is so worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's certain tools out there where it's like if it don't work, if it don't work, if it doesn't work, it's not necessarily at too much of like a detriment to you or your business. And those are some that I think that are worth the gamble, so to speak, because it's like why would you not if it has a chance of improving what you're doing already, and it wouldn't require too much learning and it wouldn't require this or that or time.
Too much cost. Like opportunity cost or cost or time, whatever it is.
Like, why not try
it?
Exactly. Well, to finalize our podcast, because we're getting up to time, but I'm having a really great time. So the last question I want to ask you, because we were just talking about clients for a while, is do you have something that you can remember, maybe it wasn't recently, maybe it was a long time ago, I don't know, a lesson that you thought was really important that you learned from working with a client?
Oh, there's been a lot.
It's an agency. You've been an agency.
I know.
Quite some time.
I think, okay, so the biggest lesson, we talked a little bit about this already, but the biggest lesson is if your gut doesn't feel right when you're working with a client, like even if you say you sent the proposal and they accept it and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work out or not. And then you start working with them, like, don't be afraid to fire them. Because I've had clients that I hung on to a little too long. I had services that I hung on to a little too long because we were working with this client and I really liked them, but I really hated the service we were providing because I just didn't enjoy it, wasn't making me money, was hard to execute, was like a total time suck, like whatever reason. Don't be afraid to fire the client, to cut the service, or to say no. Trust your gut there. Don't just trust your gut, like also look at the numbers, right? And make sure you can really afford to do it. But if it doesn't feel, if the relationship doesn't feel right, if the service doesn't feel right, if there's something that's just not right, don't stick with it, let go of it, because it's not going to serve you in the long run. And in today's market, you have to be very nimble. You have to be able to roll with what's going to come in next, because we don't really know. Right? I mean, we look at how much has changed in the last couple of years alone in technology and innovation. It's only going to, that's the industry. So if it feels like it's wrong, accept that do the homework, make sure, but it feels like it's wrong, get rid of it. Don't hang on too long. Because I've had clients where I kind of knew shortly after we started working with them that I'm like, this is just never going to work. They don't get us. They don't get our culture. And finally, I was like, okay, you're fired. Like, that's it. I can't do it anymore.
And it's a waste of time and money when you do that.
Yeah, it's cost time, money. And I've had the same thing with services that we've offered that I hung on and kept providing those services because the clients we were providing them for, I really liked and I wanted to do all we could for them. But we weren't efficient at delivering. And to be efficient and to keep our quality up, we could either have high quality or efficiency. Mm-hmm. And that shouldn't be a choice, right? So I think it's the biggest lesson is when you work with a client, if something feels wrong, accept that it's wrong, say no and move on.
Yeah, no, I love that, like that humility that you kind of have to have, because it, for one, like you can't provide everything, like unless your team is insurmountable numbers, and even then sometimes you can't manage that efficiently if you don't have the proper structure.
Right.
You have to be realistic with what you can offer, and also what you can offer without like your team being like burning out.
Right. You don't want to lose good people. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
You'll,
just
you'll
because
end
you
up
want
losing good people
to,
because you're pushing them too hard and you're trying to do too much, and you'll either won't satisfy the client, or you won't satisfy the team, or you won't satisfy yourself, because the team is happy when they can do work that they're proud of and they can get paid for it, and the client is happy when they get high quality work that you've delivered on time, and you're happy when you make money. There's a Venn diagram there, and that spot in the middle, it's real hard to achieve. So if what you're offering isn't, like, if you can't get to that spot in the middle, time to move on.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a question that I used to ask a lot of people previously on the podcast of like, would you rather make your client happy or your team happy if you had to pick one in that scenario? And every time it's team. And it's because they're what make the dream work. Teamwork.
Well, and you're never going to make, there are some clients you're never going to make happy. You're going to make them less upset, less sad, less angry, but you're never going to make them happy. And that's not a you problem. So
that is not a you problem. And like sometimes it's a you problem in the way that you're not a fit for them, but it's not like you're the problem in which like you're not doing effective work or quality work. It's just that
exactly
they're not their vibe or their cup of tea.
Right. They're not the right fit. Yeah, and that's okay. It's perfectly okay. It's okay. I think I kind of wish that early on in my business somebody had told me, say no more. You have to say no. And it's hard to say no, and you can't always afford to say no because you need the cash flow. But if it doesn't feel right, I will tell you, I lost more money on clients and projects where I should have said no earlier. And I was afraid to say no because of the cash flow issue, but it ended up costing me more by the time all was said and done, because either the project or the client was not a fit for the team and myself. And therefore, it was never worth it in the first place. I would have been better off saying no up front and moving on to other opportunities that could have paid off better.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good lesson to learn. And honestly, like one that I hear very often, I think that it is like you're trying to please everybody sometimes when you start an agency because you just want to make clients happy and you want to make money, of course. Like, I mean, everyone wants to make their first whatever amount of money by the end of the year or whatever it is. But it's not always like monetary goals shouldn't always be what you're looking for if it's sacrificing you or your team's like happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to love what you do. I've always believed that if you get up every day, and not the old expression, if you get up every day, you'll never work a day in your life. But realistically, like, you have to like what you do because you're going to be doing it every single day. And so for me, I like what I do. I really enjoy it. I enjoy my team. I enjoy my clients. I enjoy the partners that we work with. I enjoy everything about it. I really do. And is it work? Yes, it's still work, but I enjoy it. So I don't mind it. And if you're going to get up every day and dread opening your computer or dread talking to that client or dread dealing with that team member when they come to you with a problem, then that's not a fit. And you need to say no and move on.
I 100% agree. And I think that's a really good note to end on because we are perfectly at time, a little over, but I had a wonderful time today. So I really appreciate you joining me.
I did too. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun, Shannon. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening and or watching. Please don't forget to check out MaryAnn and 108 Degrees in the description. Thank you so much and have a lovely day, everyone.